Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are honestly staging a bit of an intervention. We're going to talk about how modern workers, creators, and founders are literally bleeding out their absolute most valuable asset. Now, it's not their cash, it's not their network, it is their attention. And this isn't just theory, by the way. Later on, we'll see exactly how applying these methods helped a student slash their screen time by an incredible 74% and completely cure their doom scrolling habit in under a week. So if you've ever reached the end of a long 10-hour workday feeling completely exhausted, but then you look back and realize you didn't actually produce anything meaningful, well, you are in exactly the right place. So let's dive right in with a somewhat uncomfortable question. Are you distracted or are you occupied? Because, most productivity advice treats your lack of focus like a misbehaving pet. You try to bribe it, punish it, discipline it. We just assume we have this generic everyday distraction problem, but the premise of the attention recovery architecture system is a lot deeper. You aren't just distracted, you are occupied. Your attention is territory that has been quietly annexed by feeds, by notifications, and by the residue of unfinished thoughts. It's being extracted from you by systems engineered by people who understand your nervous system way better than you do.
There is this fantastic quote by Henry David Thoreau that hits the nail on the head. He said, "The cost of a thing is the amount of life you exchange for it." Think about that. Every time your attention gets hijacked, you aren't just losing a couple of minutes, you're actually exchanging your life for a cheap dopamine hit. This goes way beyond just trying to hit inbox zero. This is a high-stakes battle for your own sovereignty. Lost attention literally equates to lost life.
But don't worry, we are going to fix this step by step. Our agenda for today's explainer covers 5 things. First, the attention crisis. Second, willpower versus architecture. Third, deconstructing the scroll. Fourth, building your attention architecture. And finally, number 5, the morning reset.
All right, let's jump into part 1, the attention crisis, where we diagnose this disease of cognitive extraction.
So, the absolutely crucial thing to understand here is that your attention doesn't run out all at once, it leaks. A cognitive leak is a micro-action. We're talking under 9 seconds that pulls your awareness off your current task and onto a screen. Individually, these leaks are so small, they're nearly invisible. You don't even register that you're using your phone. But get this, the average professional performs between 220 and 380 of these tiny attention switches every single day. You are literally bleeding out your focus drop by drop through hundreds of hairline cracks.
And the real consequence of all this, it's something called attention debt. Every single unauthorized switch borrows against your focus for tomorrow. Each leak leaves behind cognitive residue, meaning the unfinished thread of your previous task actually contaminates the next one. It creates this compounding debt. It's the exact reason why you hit that mental fog at 6 p.m. or why you get that heavy exhaustion where you feel like you've done absolutely nothing all day. Basically, your attention was loaned out without your permission.
Which brings us to part 2, willpower versus architecture. We really need to bust the hustle culture myth right here.
This right here is the foundational mental shift of the whole explainer. Willpower is just a battery. It discharges, and it actually discharges the fastest right when you need it most, like when you're tired, stressed, or dealing with something ambiguous. Architecture, on the other hand, that's a load-bearing wall. A wall does not get tired. Things like a blocked calendar or literally just charging your phone in another room, that is architecture. We have to stop fighting distraction with a draining battery and start building structural walls that just do the work for us.
Okay, part 3, deconstructing the scroll. Let's look at exactly how your attention is hijacked.
There is a very specific psychological circuit running thousands of times a year inside your head. It starts with a cue, usually some kind of internal discomfort, like boredom, fatigue, or maybe anxiety about a hard task. Then comes the pull. Your hand physically moves toward your phone before your mind even consciously decides to do it. Next is the loop. This is the slot machine psychology of a feed. You know the drill. Scroll, micro-reward, micro-disappointment. And finally, the residue. The loop ends, but that original discomfort, it wasn't solved. Actually, it's just amplified.
Now I really want this next number to sink in. 60 to 90. If you scroll on short-form video for 30 minutes, you don't just lose those 30 minutes. You lose the 30 minutes plus 60 to 90 minutes of degraded cognitive output right afterward. All those fragments of clips and emotional reactions just linger in your working memory. The tax you pay is literally 2 to 3 times the actual minutes you spent scrolling. Crazy, right? And unfortunately,
The cost gets even worse when you look at the focus recovery curve. 23 minutes. It takes the human brain about 23 minutes to fully load its context back up, suppress competing inputs, and actually achieve deep work. Most reactive workers never even cross minute 23. They sit down, get pulled out at minute 11 by a ping, come back at 14, get pulled again at 19, and they mistake all that thrashing for actual work.
All right, part 4, building your attention architecture. It is time to stop the bleeding. This is where we move from theory to practice. And like I mentioned earlier, by implementing the architecture we're about to discuss, one student recently dropped their screen time by a massive 74% and totally stopped their doom scrolling habit in under 7 days. Because of that, they were finally able to focus and study so much better.
So to get those kinds of results yourself, you need the SNAP protocol. It's an 8-second interrupt to catch that precognitive twitch before the scroll loop even starts. First, stop. Just physically put the phone face down to break the motor loop. Next, name it. Literally saying I am about to scroll out loud instantly lowers your brain's impulse response. Then, ask yourself, wait, what was I actually about to do before I picked this up? Finally, pivot. Turn to a deliberate alternative, like just taking a sip of water. 8 seconds. That is all it takes to reclaim your agency. Next up, we have to architect your communication, because here's the undeniable truth. Your email inbox is literally just a to-do list that anyone in the world can add to. To combat this, we use the 3-touch rule. You open your inbox exactly twice a day, and every single message gets one of 3 touches. Number 1, delete or archive it. Number 2, respond right now, but only if it takes less than 2 minutes. Number 3, schedule it on your calendar if it takes longer, and then archive the email. There's absolutely no leave it in the inbox to think about later.
Finally, part 5, the morning reset. This is where we stop playing defense and start playing offense.
Your ultimate foundation actually starts before you even wake up. Look, sleep isn't just some nice-to-have wellness trend. It is the physical operating substrate that your entire attention runs on. You absolutely cannot install good mental software on a corrupted, sleep-deprived operating system. That whole hustle culture myth of the 4-hour sleep, it's just a mathematical error. The single highest leverage intervention you can make isn't taking a new supplement, it's simply having a fixed wake time across all 7 days of the week. And here's how you capitalize on your brain's natural morning cortisol spike with a 5-phase reset. First, you wake up and you keep your phone completely out of sight for the first 30 minutes. Then move your body to activate those cognitive pathways. Next, prime your mind with a quick journal entry or some visualization. That leads right into focus, a single 40-minute deep work block where you get your hardest thinking done before the rest of the world even wakes up. Finally, fuel up with protein and fats to avoid that nasty mid-morning sugar crash. This sequence practically guarantees high-leverage output every single day.
If you plug these cognitive leaks, if you replace exhausting willpower with real structural architecture, and if you claim that very first hour of the day, you don't just get your time back, you get you back. The noise finally fades. So I want to leave you with this question. What would you build if you could actually hear your own thinking again? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Go take back your sovereignty, and I'll see you in the next one.